Today on HouseSmarts, we'll be stepping outside the home for a relaxing getaway where you're sure to whine a little and laugh a lot. Our destination, Unionville Vineyards, which tops the list of 500 best wineries in the States, where we'll speak to a few of the experts in our unofficial guide to wine.
Unionville Vineyards as a winery is a special place because we're a 100% estate winery. Every drop of wine in our bottles comes from grapes that we farm. So we manage the process from planting grapevines and building new vineyards all the way to the finished product of sharing it in the tasting room. And that hands-on approach from beginning to end really gives us the opportunity to control every aspect and make sure that we're making awesome wine for people to enjoy. We've really come to learn after 30 years of grape growing here that what's best for our climate and for our soils are the varieties that grow in the Rhone Valley in southeast France and Burgundy in central France. And so we really pride ourselves on single vineyard bottlings where we take individual parcels of our land, ferment those grapes separately, barrel them separately, bottle them separately, and then I can show a guest in the tasting room the difference of a Chardonnay that's grown right here in Ringo's versus one that's grown 6 miles away. And there are very radical differences between those two, and it's going to be really just an expression of the land and the weather and the climate in that particular year.
When you're making wine, it's coming from, unlike brewing beer or anything like that, it's coming from one product. It starts as grapes. So what we'll do is we'll pick the fruit, and as it comes in, we process it in different ways based on the type of wine that we're making. When you're looking at grapevines, there is really one species of European grapevine, the Vitis vinifera, but it's broken up into varieties. And the varieties we think of are small, like genetic mutations that have developed in different regions, mostly in Europe, specific genetic qualities that denote them as like words that we recognize like Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon. So when you're looking at that, and you think of our vineyard and almost all vineyards, everything is done clonally, pretty much. So we're taking grapevines, cuttings from grapevines that were planted, 100, 150 years ago, even longer in Europe, and bringing them over here in a more regimented, like lab-oriented setting. From there, that's what we're actually planting in the ground to grow these specific varieties that people have come to know that get turned into specific wine types.
Unionville Vineyards has a lot of accolades and awards and high-rated wines, and that does make us special, and that really lets people know the quality of wine that we're able to produce here. But what goes with that quality is the experience that you're getting. There is this feeling you get when driving up the driveway and you see the vineyard, you see the vines. You understand right away that you're somewhere different. This is where we are growing and producing the wine. You're walking up into our tasting room in this old historic barn, you're overlooking our winery floor, you're seeing the production, and you really get the sense that you're close to the product you're about to consume, and you're understanding how special it is when you meet your associate and you're going through your tasting and you're understanding the nuances and the varietals and the history.
It's a great way to pass an afternoon. It's a great way to learn about wine in a very serious way. We have a very dedicated staff that love to teach, but also we keep it fun. And so it's always a fun place to be and a good way to spend an afternoon.
It's just this experience that you won't forget. You're left more informed and also had some great wine, so that makes everybody happy.
I think when you're dealing with something as large as the wine industry, it's important to note that it is kind of a global phenomenon. People have been drinking wine for, thousands of years. And I think that's what makes it so interesting and so important. And I think wine specifically more than any other alcohol because there are 3 levels to it. It's a sense of time. Wine is vintage. You drink a 2013 Cabernet Sauvignon or a 2015 Pinot Noir. It's a sense of branding of a certain person because there's a winemaker and people that sort of work to make the product. But it's also a sense of place because the grapes are nurtured and they're grown. There's a farming aspect to it. People are working land. So you take those 3 aspects and you have a sense of person, a sense of time, a sense of place, and it's very specific to this industry, and I think it makes it special. And there is an air of elitism or an air of sophistication attached to wine that I don't think really has a place in the modern wine industry. One of my favorite things about making wine and drinking wine is that, ideas of quality are so subjective.
That's what really makes wine special. And so wine can be as simple as you want it to be, or it can be something really, really thoughtful and interesting that does something that no other beverage, beer, spirits, or non-alcoholic are capable of doing.
Our best thing that we get to tell people is, if you like it, you like it. And you can't go wrong with that.